When Tetramer started, we actually formed the company because there was a professor at Clemson that had developed a new type of polymer, or it was a polymer developed at Dow Chemical. And Dow decided not to pursue it, and he left and went to Clemson University. And in 2000, there was a lot of companies that were starting up in optics and photonics. And they were trying to buy this material, but there was no company that existed that made this material in the world. And that professor, Dennis Smith, went to the head of the vice president of research and development at Clemson and said, what do I do? And he said, well, start a company, sell it, start a company, and then get out of the university labs. And that's what started Tetramer. The four professors that were researching that polymer started Tetramer. And immediately in 2001, there was the telecom bubble, and every single one of those customers went out of business. And so we were stuck with, we have a company, we have a new material, and nobody wants it. And that was just kind of the slap in the face of welcome to entrepreneurship. What do you do? We joked that we pivoted before we knew it was a thing, but we realized that if we did some chemistry to this polymer, if we sulfonated it, it would make an excellent fuel cell membrane. And we went to General Motors and talked to them, and they said they were really interested. And we had gotten very lucky and gotten a small business innovative research grant from the National Science Foundation. And so that was the first money that we actually had to really do research. And I believe that was about $500,000 for 2 years, and that's where the first full-time employees actually jumped from being part-time employees at Clemson University to full-time Tetramer employees. And what we were able to do is, at the end of that proposal, at the end of that grant, General Motors was happy enough with the work that we were doing that they continued to fund it themselves. And that model really worked for Tetramer, which was we would leverage a small business grant through the SBIR program to show that the technology worked, that it was scalable and interesting. And then during that time, we would work with industry and say, we're developing this technology. We're working on bio-based materials. We're working on fuel cells. Would you be interested in this technology? And once they bought into that, we were able to successfully transition the government funding onto an industrial research contract. And that's what's critical, because when you try to develop a new material, you need an industrial feedback loop to really tell you what's important, what doesn't work, what does work. And we were able to do that. And so every time we grew the company, we actually grew it by business unit. So, the group that was first funded doing fuel cell research is still doing fuel cell research, electrolyzer research. We're doing work with Caltech developing solar hydrogen splitting. We got that project going. We got those people stabilized, they have an industrial partner. And then we looked for other opportunities. And so we said, well, let's try to do renewable materials. And again, that was back in 2008, and we developed a new renewable material. We worked with Cargill, that got spun out into a new business, and we still are doing work in that area. And the people that actually started that work, while we've worked on different projects, are now the same people that started our bio-based lubricants company that we recently spun out. So we were able just to keep bootstrapping, both returning all profits into the growth of the company, finding government funding and then pairing that with industrial funding, and then transitioning those projects into industrial contracts. And we've just continued that to this day.